need more water on the roof now. This structure is going to collapse.
Have you ever believed your life was over? That after losing everything, there was simply no reason left to keep going? What if I told you that sometimes life doesn't take everything away to punish you? Sometimes it removes everything so it can lead you to the person who was always meant to find you. Today's story is about two completely broken strangers who met when they had nothing left, and somehow found a love stronger than anything they had ever lost. Stay until the very end, because this ending will remind you that hope can bloom even in the darkest seasons. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support helps us continue bringing you powerful emotional stories every week. Now, let's begin. Michael never imagined that one phone call could destroy an entire life. At 36 years old, he had everything most people dreamed of: a successful construction company, a beautiful home, a loving wife named Olivia, and a 6-year-old daughter, Lily, who believed her father could fix anything. Every evening, Lily would run into his arms shouting, "Daddy's home!" And every evening, Michael believed life could never get better. Until one rainy afternoon, his phone rang. There had been a terrible highway accident. By the time he reached the hospital, it was already too late. Olivia and little Lily were gone. The silence that followed became louder than any scream. Michael sold the family house, closed his business, stopped answering calls. His friends tried to help, but grief had become the only thing he recognized. For 2 years, he simply existed. Far away, another heart was breaking. Sarah had built a small bakery with her husband, Daniel. Together they had turned a tiny shop into the most beloved bakery in town. Then disaster struck. A massive fire destroyed the bakery overnight. Insurance refused to pay because of a legal dispute. The financial pressure became unbearable. Daniel couldn't cope with the loss. One morning, he packed a suitcase. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I can't do this anymore." He walked away. He never came back. Sarah lost her business, her marriage, her savings, almost every dream she had ever built. Months later, she found work serving coffee in a quiet neighborhood cafe. She smiled at customers every day, even when her own heart was falling apart. One cold autumn morning, Michael walked into that cafe. He looked exhausted, unshaven, empty. He ordered black coffee, nothing else. Sarah noticed his shaking hands. Without saying anything, she quietly added a warm cinnamon roll beside his cup. "I didn't order this," Michael said. She smiled gently. "You look like you needed something warm." It was the first act of kindness anyone had shown him in months. The next morning, he came back. Then the next, and the next. Neither of them spoke much. Sometimes healing begins long before conversations do. Weeks turned into months. Slowly, Michael began smiling again. Sarah laughed again. Not because life had suddenly become easy, but because someone finally understood what pain looked like. One evening, the power suddenly went out during a storm. Customers hurried home. Only Michael and Sarah remained. By candlelight, they shared their stories. For the first time, Michael spoke Olivia's name without breaking down. Sarah admitted she still blamed herself for losing everything. Neither judged the other. They simply listened. And sometimes, being heard is the beginning of healing. As seasons changed, their friendship quietly became love. Not the loud kind, not the reckless kind, but the kind that patiently grows between two wounded hearts. One spring afternoon, Michael surprised Sarah with an old abandoned storefront. "It's yours," he said. "What?" "I want us to rebuild your bakery." She burst into tears. Together, they painted walls, repaired ovens, hung shelves. Neighbors volunteered. Old customers returned. The little bakery reopened. On opening day, the line stretched around the block. Sarah cried as the first customer walked in. "This feels impossible." Michael smiled. "No, this feels like home." Business flourished once again. But more importantly, their hearts had begun to flourish too. Months later, Michael nervously took Sarah to the same park where Lily had once loved feeding ducks. He carried a tiny velvet box. He looked toward the sky, quietly whispered, "I hope you be happy for me." Then he turned to Sarah. "You never replaced the people I lost. You simply reminded me that life wasn't finished." He knelt down. "Will you marry me?" Through tears, Sarah nodded. "Yes." The wedding was simple. No luxury, no extravagance, only family, friends, fresh flowers, and grateful hearts. At the reception, Sarah placed 2 empty white chairs with roses on them. One for Olivia, one for Lily. Michael looked at them, his eyes filled with tears. Love had not erased his past. It had simply given him the strength to carry it. Years later, the bakery became famous. People came for the bread, but stayed because of the warmth inside. Whenever customers asked the secret ingredient, Sarah always smiled. "Hope," Michael would quietly add, "and second chances." Because sometimes, life doesn't give you another beginning. It simply teaches you how to continue. No one can replace the people we've lost. But healing doesn't dishonor love. It honors it. The people who truly loved us would never want us to spend forever trapped in yesterday. Sometimes, the greatest act of courage is allowing your heart to love again. And sometimes, after losing everything, you discover the one thing that was waiting for you all along. A future filled with hope, filled with healing, filled with love. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs hope today. And tell us in the comments, do you believe it's possible to truly love again after losing everything? Your story may encourage someone else who is still learning how to heal.